looking at? Tonight on Thursday Night Geeks, it's time to deep dive into Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. Rick, Lori, and Coral are stuck in a warehouse full of zombies and... Wait, what? This isn't Walking Dead? Oh, sorry, my bad. Tonight on Thursday Night Geeks, it's Klingons, undead, and a revelation that may forever impact the friendship between Captain Pike and Dr. M'Benga. Get ready for some action, some drama, and some eating of your brains as we go behind enemy lines in Strange New Worlds Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. Live right now.
Good Thursday evening, one and all. Welcome once again to Thursday Night Geeks, presented by Fansets. Bill Smith, alongside world champion yodeler Dan Davidson, for yet another week of fun, frivolity, and Star Trek. And Dan, it's the Klingons, Coral, the Klingons.
I gotta say, that was funny. I was saying it before we went live. I enjoyed doing the voiceover this week, but man, putting your special effects and visuals in it just hit it out of the park. That was fantastic, man. Yeah, it is time for some Walking Dead on Thursday Night Geeks, if you can believe it or not. It's great to be here, buddy. Good to see you. Last week we didn't get to sit at the microphone and talk. Work got in the way as it sometimes does, but here we are. Finally ready to talk about episode 3 of Strange New Worlds. So I'm pretty excited about it.
You know, we're a few weeks behind, and I don't mind that because it kind of gives us a little, downshift. We don't have to rush to talk about these episodes. Now that they're out in perpetuity. I mean, they'll always be there, but we can take our time and sort of digest these as we want to.
Right.
And I'm kind of looking forward to this discussion tonight. I watched that episode again today, and I actually liked it a little more than I did the last time. And we'll talk more about that when we sort of get into stuff. But let's say hi to some folks, Dan.
Yeah, let's do that. It's always fun.
Of course, Willow's in the house saying happy Friday Eve. Happy Friday, Willow.
Hi,
Burley
Willow.
Offering greetings. Our good friend Brad is in the house.
The D-Man.
Ross here in Eastern North Carolina saying, sup, geeks.
Sup.
Actually, I did just sup, and it was delicious.
There you go.
Sorry, a little New Englandish there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Helen is here. It wouldn't be Thursday without Helen or anybody else here in the chat. She says greetings, and they say they missed the intro, but it's worth it, Helen.
Might be the best part of the whole show tonight. I don't want to put anything, I don't want to burst your bubble or let the wind out of your sails or any of that crap. But yeah.
Obviously, this is the part of the show where I normally ask what you're drinking in a segment not sponsored by any alcoholic beverage. Yeah. Maybe that'll change someday. But Dan, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm just going simple, even though I am going in my Gorn mug.
Oh,
first time I've ever used it, to be actually truthful.
Really?
It's kind of cool. Yeah, they're usually just on display. I'm just going simple. I'm just doing a blueberry lemonade tonight. Blueberry vodka with some pink lemonade, no sugar added, and some blueberries. That's it. So I'm doing. It's one of my favorite summer drinks, and summer's winding down, so I figured why not.
I'm drinking water.
There you go.
I'm back on prednisone because I had another incident of my bronchitis after.
Yay!
So let me tell you something about North Carolina, Dan. Now that I live down here, I've learned that this time of year, weed pollen, ragweed, and other associated weeds in particular, very bad. And guess what I did last weekend? I mowed and raked my lawn full of weeds.
There you go.
And that sort of triggered my bronchitis. Didn't know it would.
Triggered.
Yeah, your face is triggered. But no, feeling better. I I sounded like death warmed over the other day. If we had talked on, on online or whatever, you would have heard me coughing up a lung like Susie Plaxon 10 years ago. So,
okay. For those of you who don't get that reference, go back into one of our old past episodes of Trek Geeks and take
10 years ago, it's the episode with Susie Plaxon. She was a guest on the show, but she also did it during a time where she had this horrible respiratory infection.
Yeah.
And we had to edit half of the show out because she kept breaking into these coughing fits and didn't want to reschedule. So we did the best we could, but an hour and a half long interview, we only got to use 40 minutes of it because of all the coughing breaks.
Yeah. Anyway.
And Ross isn't lying. Fall pollen is no joke down here. He's been stuffed up for 2 days. I still feel it. And I'm like taking 2 different allergy medicines right now. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Not much up here right now yet, but I'm sure it'll be happening soon.
I want to share my screen for a second because I've been on my Zep-bound journey, as you know.
Yes.
And I figure it's a good time for an update.
I love updates. They're
going
to be a good update, I'm sure. Yeah.
So when I started this journey, and I kind of hate talking about these numbers because, I don't think anybody who's overweight likes talking about the actual number, but I'm going to talk about the actual number. I weighed 320 pounds when I started on April 1st.
Okay.
Not proud of that, but as you can see in the comparison from Vegas photos to April, I clearly have lost some body mass. I'm down 40 pounds. From what I was. I've still got a ways to go. Found is doing a great job for what I want it to do. I've had nothing but success on it so far. And keep in mind, I probably shouldn't admit to this. I have not worked out a bit. This is a quick fix, but it's been so friggin' hot and humid here. There's no AC in the garage where we keep all the workout stuff that it's rough. So
I can imagine.
This is just, eating, less, letting my digestive process do what it should with the delayed gastric emptying and really just sort of doing what I can to be a better version of me. So 40 pounds lighter, and hopefully by next Vegas, that picture we'll have one to add to the other side of that looks a lot different.
That's fantastic, man. Congratulations. I know you've been working at it. I can see the difference. I mean, we hadn't seen each other in person for a year.
Yeah.
Las Vegas was the last time we saw each other until this past Vegas a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, definitely looking good. You're energetic. It was a fun time at the booth, as it always is. But yeah, I wish I could say that I'm not going to the gym, but I am, and I don't really have anything to show for it, but that's all right. I'm drinking my drink, so I guess that's all right.
Well, you do. I mean, you from even before I moved, you dropped a ton of weight.
Yeah.
And you still look fantastic. I mean,
thanks, man.
You're keeping it off, and I think you're doing a fantastic job. Staying status quo, I think, is just as important as losing, because it says you're not trending the other way, right?
Yeah, it's a process. I still want to lose another 25 or 30 maybe at the most, but I'm happy with the way things are going. We do love the gym, as you know. Used to belong to the gym that we go to. We've been there for like 8 years now. We just really love it. Very structured. The coaches are all awesome, so it makes it looks, you look forward to working out when you're at a place that you like to go to. So it's fun. It's good. So so we've lost about 70 pounds between the two of us, and Billingsley lost like 45. So between the three of us, we had a whole nother person.
You got an Olsen twin that you've lost.
And I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this right now. For anybody who has not that there was anything wrong before, Billingsley looked fantastic when we were in Vegas. I mean, he's lost a lot of weight. He had some work done on his eyes, so he doesn't wear his glasses anymore. He is a strapping, handsome, I was almost about to say young man, but we all know that that's not true. Strapping adult man. Old man. He's an old man.
You can say old fuck. It's fine.
Billingsley, you're old.
I'm not going to lie. I might have gotten a little horny. All right, no, that's a lie.
Proud to hear you.
That's a lie. He's not going to hear this.
No, not
unless we send it to him. So anyway, we're gonna reset the table. Garcia's in the control room running the trains as usual. Kudos to Garcia. It's always good to have him on board. But we're going to be right back to talk about Shuttle to Kenfori. Stay right where you are. Don't go anywhere. And yes, I do mean you. Dan, before we get into talking about Shuttle to Kenfori, let's have Garcia sound spoiler alert. Garcia, if you would please. Keep in mind that if you haven't seen episode 3, which at this point was 5 weeks ago, people, we're talking about a month. Fire up that Paramount Minus, watch this episode, and then come back for the discussion, because of course this will live on forever on the U of Tubes.
Yes, it will.
Dan, Shuttle to Kenfori, episode 3. It's come off a couple of really kind of decent episodes. Of course, we had the first one with Hegemony Part 2.
Yep.
And then we had Wedding Bell Blues, which was really kind of fun.
Yep.
But we really kind of set the stage here for some stuff to happen now and later in the season. Overall, if you kind of had a thumbs up, thumbs down, what did you think of the episode?
I'll give it a thumbs up. There was some interesting parts of it. There was some parts that I was kind of like shaking my head or scratching my head a little bit, but it was a good episode. It wasn't something that I was bored with. There was really no boring parts to it. It left me with some questions. It also answered some stuff. So it was good. What about you? You thumbs up or thumbs down it?
I would say 5 weeks ago, I might have said on the fence, bordering on thumbs down. A little time has gone by. Like I said, I rewatched it today. I'm actually on the thumbs up side for this episode.
Cool.
There is some great character development here, and you know me. I mean, I'm a character development whore when it comes to it. You could have the worst story in the world, and as long as it progresses the characters in a meaningful way, I will generally be a little kinder to it.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a bad episode at all, but when I take a step back from the obvious sort of, oh, come on, really? With the Klingon zombies,
Yes.
which really don't bother me as much now, but that's a topic for another part of the episode. I really think that this is a solid episode. There's really everything you want here in Star Trek. There are a couple of moral quandaries. We've got some, comedy to lighten some of the tension there on Kenfori. And we've got sort of this problem that, was created earlier, in an earlier episode with Mabenga sort of assassinating, we just talked about his name before the show. Chakra.
Chakra, yeah.
Or Chaka or whatever. Chaka when the walls fell.
Chaka when the walls. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of Star Trek aspects to this episode. There are things that are put in play for maybe answering a lot of questions that fans have had over the past 2 years with Strange New Worlds, which we'll get into also. But the important stuff is this episode actually aired only 5 weeks ago, July 24th, 2025. It was written by Onitra Johnson and Bill Walkoff, directed by Dan Liu. And the in-universe star date is 2449.1, just to let all you people know who are keeping track of that important star date, better known as the year 2261.
Wow, did you really star date us?
I did star date. I didn't realize that they did star dates on Memory Alpha. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to read that right out loud. And there I did.
Wow, look at you. I got to think this is probably one of our first Garcia call-outs in chat in 20 episodes. So Garcia is getting some love tonight from Willow. And Garcia, you couldn't have a bigger fan. Willow's good people. Of course, everybody's good people except for Dan.
Yes, that's true. True twice. Yes,
we get a variety of things here. I kind of want to start off with Marie Battelle. At the beginning of the episode, Pike's kind of going through his log saying, yeah, Marie and I are enjoying our last few days together. He walks back into his quarters and boom, she's right there on the floor. Apparently what took before isn't taken so much anymore. And let's just say that she's about to go from Bruce Banner into the Incredible Hulk if she's not careful.
Yeah. Couple of things about this. I've talked about in the past where I think it's time for the romance aspect of what we're seeing in Star Trek to kind of be put on the back burner a little bit. We've been inundated with Spock with his love interests for a lot of episodes. And now it's starting to creep into Pike's life. And it's not a bad thing per se. But I'm wondering if they're going to the well a little bit too much. But then this episode came about, and what you just said, things are great. They're cuddling on the couch, and then all of a sudden this is happening. And again, it shows, in my opinion, the greatest vulnerability that Christopher Pike has as captain of the Enterprise, because we've seen him hesitate more than once when it comes to Battelle. And I think that is a very interesting aspect of his character. And again, something that I said before, why I feel that in the future, even though it's our past, why captains are never really with anyone during the TOS time and beyond.
I think the very nature of the Enterprise's missions will change. I think, and this is just my supposition, I have nothing to really, back this up, but I think at the end of Strange New Worlds, Enterprise will go back to Starbase 1, be refit, have the number of crew cabins doubled because the crew's only about 200 and some odd right now.
Yeah.
And I think that, you'll see Pike's quarters kind of cut into a third, and they'll fit more people in to go on these 5-year missions.
Right.
I think that's got to happen so far. And that's how I hope they'll sort of, even though I hate canon smoothing, I really do, because I hate the concept of canon.
Yes.
I think that that's probably what canon should happen. Just before Kirk takes command.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, we've talked about the fact that, it's modern Trek now, and we have to, be familiar with the fact that there's going to be better special effects and the bridge is going to look better and blah, 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 blah. But there's other aspects, like how come the quarters of the captain got so small between the time that Pike has this gigantic gourmet kitchen that I would murder for, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
And now he doesn't even have a kitchen. He has yeomen bring him green leaves and coffee, and that's about it. So it'll
chicken
be
sandwich
and
coffee.
And little tangent. I love the fact that there was this little kid in Vegas, this young man, probably like 8 years old.
Yes.
And the first day he showed up in the Kirk uniform, and he looked awesome.
He did.
I got a picture with him, and I think I posted it. He looked just fantastic. And then the next day he came through, and he had a styrofoam cup with a tribble in it. And I'm just like, that's his chicken sandwich and coffee. And it was brilliant. It was just the simplest of cosplays, and it was good. So shout out to that young guy.
That kid kept coming back to see you and to get your reactions. And it was the best thing ever.
Yeah, it was fun.
Battelle's obviously in sickbay, and M'Benga kind of breaks the news to Pike. Well, we kind of get this thing, this sort of this chimera orchid or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
Like that isn't a big clue as to what's about to happen. But it's on this world that, kind of belongs to the Klingons, and we're not supposed to go there. In fact, there's a no-fly order. So they kind of got to go on another off-the-books mission. This is one aspect I'm getting a little tired of.
It's happened a lot on Strange New Worlds. Yes,
it has. This mission didn't exist, so nothing that happened existed. We're 2.5 seasons in, and already I'm over that concept. Let's live with some consequences at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, isn't the whole Gorn thing like that's under wraps and secret and off the books and all that? And now this, of course, and it's I don't understand. Everybody knows the problem. Everybody knows what happened with Battelle. So why does it have to be? Why is it so secretive? I mean, I'm sure that there are going to some people in Starfleet Command who are going to appreciate what's going on and give the okay to go behind enemy lines for this particular reason and deal with the consequences if they need to later. I mean, not to jump ahead, but that something's going to happen. The Klingons are going to notify somebody because they show up and blow up the shuttle. So
right.
It's going to get back to Starfleet at some point that Federation officers went to this planet. What's going on? Are they just going to say, oh, we don't know anything about that, so you can't do anything? Call to God.
Yeah, that never happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless there's another pre-warp species that happens to witness everything from afar, like the pilot of Strange New Worlds, and then they're screwed. They got to go back to get all this shit.
It's right. Absolutely.
I like the premise of the episode. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I really think that there's a lot of mental gymnastics that had to get us from here to there. Why couldn't this just have been on an unexplored world?
True.
Why does it have to be a Klingon controlled world? Why couldn't we have just, realized that the Klingons followed M'Benga because somehow there's a Viridian patch. I don't know how. I don't know. The guy's changed his clothes. Where the hell is the Viridian patch? But anyway, I don't think it had to be necessarily this sort of Klingon outpost where we see all kinds of dead Klingons, although that was cool.
Very cool. Now, I made fun and and you kind of gave me a little heads up that I was going to be interested. It was going to be interesting to see my reaction to this episode because I didn't see it before you did.
Right.
The whole zombie thing looked awesome. I mean, it
Yeah.
really, really did. I gotta say, I don't think we've ever seen a Klingon skeleton that's bursted from the inside or whatever it was or just like been torn apart. I guess it is.
Yeah.
It's not like an alien came out of his chest, but that looked really awesome. I loved the scientific technobabble reaction to or explanation as to why there were undead on this planet. And I thought that was pretty cool too. But I think that Star Trek has done this a couple of times where there is something going on that everybody wants to do. Several years ago, it was volcano movies, and then it was dinosaurs and stuff like that. So I remember way back in the late 90s. Wow. There were like 3 or 4 volcano movies or end of the world movies type thing.
Yeah.
And of course, a few years back, it was zombies and Resident Evil and Walking Dead and this, that, and the other thing. And so Star Trek is now, hey, let's do a zombie episode. I think it's a little past where the peak of the zombie genre was, even though 28 years later just came out a couple weeks ago, but that's neither here nor there. But that's not to say that they didn't do a good job at it, because I thought they did. Originally, I'm like, you got to be effing kidding me. They're doing zombies on Star Trek. But as with you, the more I thought about it, the more interesting and fun it was for me to watch.
They even lean into that. I mean, they essentially say, you know what, we're just going to admit this right off the bat and say, we don't say the Z word.
Yes.
I really appreciated that sense, because I think they know they're not the first to do this.
Yeah.
They know that they're not the second or the third to do this, and that it's way past the trend. But I really thought that it was done really well.
Yeah.
I think that, my viewing of the episode the first time was kind of tainted by my reaction to the zombies. When I got a chance to set that aside and I watched it a second time, I'm like, they really did do this effectively. I thought that it was believable. It
Yep.
was a little less it was almost like Walking Dead meets World War Z in a sense.
Yes. I thought of World War Z a couple times during that episode. Episode. Yeah.
And I love a good zombie story. And I appreciated the fact that that wasn't really the main crux of being on the planet.
Yep.
It wasn't to find what caused the zombieism. It wasn't to find whether or not there was some airborne or waterborne pathogen. It was the fact that they had to find this flower to save Batel. Oh, and by the way, there's a Klingon looking for vengeance.
Yep.
I really like that the zombie part of it was really kind of the D story. Like, it's not even the first, it's A, B, C, and it was the D subplot. And that's what I really liked about this.
And you got to love the fact of what they did with that D story in terms of special effects and makeup and all that stuff to really make it.
Yeah.
It was realistic. I mean, we've seen some zombie stories and some things going on in some different shows, which are like kind of like, wow, that's really like lame. This was not. This was really pretty good. I love. This is going to be kind of gross on it, but I love the decayed look of some of the things that we saw. I really thought they did a good job of it. So thumbs up to that. And as I thought about it more, the undead aspect of the whole episode is now more of a positive aspect for me than it was initially when I saw what they were actually doing. I liked the way they were able to work it into the story. It made for good drama, and kind of like good drama, but also, come on, they're going to break down the force field wall. They're going to at some point, but it made for good television. So it didn't disappoint.
No, I agree. I want to, come back to sort of a quality of Mabenga and Starfleet in general that Helen brings up, and I completely agree about. And this is the first time any Starfleet doctor has ever cared about patient privacy. Seriously, there aren't even partitions between the beds in sick bay.
Right.
I mean, this is a theme through Star Trek. Obviously, there was no HIPAA back then, as Willow pointed out. But, like Riker waltzes in uninvited to watch Troy give birth, probably the most personal moment a woman can have.
Yep.
And Riker's just like, hey, let's take a look at what's going on here. Oh, I'm leaving. Take care, Data. Pike is kind of annoyed that he wasn't brought into this, but ultimately, Chris, it's not your decision.
It's right. I mean, doctor-patient confidentiality is still a thing, or still be a thing in their time, even though it might not be as much nowadays. But that's neither here nor there. But you're right, and I was kind of annoyed at Pike for being pissed off at Mabenga for keeping him in the dark about this.
Mhm.
It really is none of his business. If it could affect the safety of the ship, that's a different story. But that's really way out there. It is not something that I think would come into play.
How many times has Chris Pike kept the crew, including the chief medical officer, in the dark because of orders or the situation, because of his role as a Starfleet captain? In Mabenga's role as chief medical officer of the Enterprise, there really is no difference. Whether he's the captain of the ship, unless there's a threat to the ship, he doesn't need to be informed. And he especially doesn't need to be informed as Batel's boyfriend.
Right.
It's not his place.
It's Batel's place to tell him if she wants to, and
Right.
nobody else's. And for him to react the way he did with, I get knee jerk reactions.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, but still, it's like, come on, dude. I mean, is his condition, because I guess you could call it a condition, is that something that he has told everybody? I know a couple people know about what's going to happen to him in the future. That's got to cause a huge amount of mental stress on him, knowing that it's going to happen within the next decade. Kind of same thing. Would you be pissed off if somebody? It's just it can go around in circles, but it did make for. Again, I'm going to say this a few times, interesting drama on this episode, which I thought worked.
Well, and that's all we've really wanted from Star Trek, from TOS all the way through to Strange New Worlds. We want good drama, we want good stories told well. And I think that this does that. I think that this gets us to a point where we're beyond some of the the fun little romps, and we get to an actual Strange New World finally this season.
Yep.
And we get to do something we haven't done in Star Trek before. I really think this episode checks a lot of boxes for me. And I can see myself liking it even more on subsequent rewatches. Dan, we're going to progress to talk about fan sets.
Sets?
I know. And then after that, we're going to come back and talk about some of the other elements of the episode. So I know I'm kind of surprising Garcia with this a couple minutes early, but stay right there. And we are going to come right back. Dan, it wouldn't be a Thursday night or an episode of Trek Geeks if we didn't talk about our dear, dear friends, our family at Fansets. We are so thrilled as they enter their 10th year as our primary and presenting sponsor. And we couldn't ask for better humans to be associated with, when in talking about Star Trek and representing this franchise.
Absolutely. I think they are the best at what is offered for Star Trek merchandise out there. And I'm biased, and I'll admit it. I don't give shit if anybody has a problem with that, because they are good and we love them. And we're so excited that every week or every couple of weeks they come out with new stuff. Now, I will say there's nothing really new to report this week at Fansets because, Vegas just ended and they had a literal ton of new stuff in Vegas. I can just go through some of the stuff they had at Vegas just to give you an idea. They had the big one. I mean, and this is available right now at fansets.com. Don't get me wrong. The big one is the EMH emitter in magnet and pin form is available at fansets.com. This was the big one at Vegas. They actually had this available the day after Vegas, sold out.
Yeah.
They are now back in stock, so you can get it right now at fansets.com. Also, the incredibly gorgeous 30...
Back in stock for now.
It's going to sell out again.
It's going to sell out again, so get them quick. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the thing is solid. It's heavy. The magnets are super strong, so it doesn't fall off of your sleeve because you're going to wear it on your sleeve, right?
I almost wore it tonight on my chest, and I had a hard time getting the backing off because I have no fingernails. This truly is the strongest magnet they've ever put on one of these.
Right.
If this thing comes off, it's going to be amazing. They actually had to post a video to their social media showing you a tip to get the backing off. Because once it's on, I couldn't get that damn thing off there.
Yeah.
That's how good it is, and I love it.
It's
That's
good
not a
stuff.
complaint.
No, it's not a complaint. It's another example of the great quality they have. And also, they had another one that showed up in Vegas, which you can get right now at fansets.com, and it's really great. It's from Discovery. It's the 32nd century Admiral Delta. I think it's Admiral Delta. It's 3 pieces or 4 pieces, actually, if you get it in magnet form. Each piece on the front is its own separate piece, and it all attaches to the magnet that you would have on the other side of your uniform. It's just it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's solid. If you get this in pin form, there's like 8 pins on it, so just keep that in mind. That's a lot of pins.
Yeah.
But again, another fantastic job that Fansets has done. They had all kinds of great stuff in Vegas. They had some special Voyager anniversary pins and Deltas up the wazoo. They had another Future Imperfect Delta. I'm not even kidding. Warrant officer. Who knew? Anyway,
did we even see a warrant officer in Future Imperfect?
I don't know. It's not a complaint. Go get all these pins. I just set up a wall. I'm gonna have to post a picture on social media. I just finally got some corkboard to put all my pins up behind me. I get like tons of them. Go to fansets.com and check out all the new stuff that they put out there every couple of weeks. You're not going to be disappointed. They're fantastic.
I couldn't agree more. And of course, Dan, once you put all those pins into your cart on fansets.com, go to checkout. Because, you want to buy the stuff. You want to get shipped to your home. You want to open the little, vinyl pouch and look and see, oh, I got pins. And then there's a Trek Geeks card you can take in there and go, oh, I listen to them. And all kinds of stuff. But at checkout, be sure to enter the special discount code word Trek Geeks. That's Trek Geeks, all capital letters, no spaces, for 10% off your entire order, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what you put in your cart, you're getting 10% off with that discount code. And I love it. I actually use it all the time. So, but you can too. And that's the beauty of it. And of course, if you spend more than $30 on fansets.com, like even just buying that emitter, you're going to get free shipping in the US.
Yep. Just that one thing.
Don't
just buy one thing. Buy a lot more than just one thing. Yes, definitely.
Natch.
Fansets. Our pins have character, and we thank our friends at Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of Thursday Night Geeks.
Dan, I also want to point out on the Trek Geek shop, since we just sort of rolled that segment there, we have some new designs. There was a problem with the Trek Geek shop, which TeePublic fixed for us. It was a technical problem on their end. So everything should be working fine now.
Nice.
And to celebrate, I put a couple new designs in there.
Look at that.
There's this brand new one, which is there's coffee in that nebula, which I really kind of enjoy. I've already got mine. It looks pretty fantastic. And then, of course, we took the Boldly Go retro shirt that was on sale in Vegas and we put it on our store so that people could get it. Of course, it comes in a variety of t-shirt styles, but yours to bring home now. The other ones will be showing up on the Trek Geek store this weekend, both the TOS crew listing and the
maybe a little
Live Long and Prosper emoji.
Yeah,
what's that?
Who knows? Maybe we'll get something like this one up there at some point. The nice Fansets Trek Geeks Vegas collaboration shirt, shall we say?
We'll probably do it a little differently because I mean,
That's special, just for the employees.
But we're adding shirts every month to this, especially the Fuck Cancer shirt, which we actually saw in the wild in Vegas.
We did.
Somebody was wearing that shirt, and it meant the world to me because it was the purple one. Of course, all proceeds from that shirt go to the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network.
Absolutely.
So if you get a chance going out to trekgeekshop.com, check out the new shirts, share them with your friends, and even share them with your enemies. We don't really care.
Works for me, man. You're my enemy, and I buy you shit all the time.
Hey, lighten up there, dude. So let's go back to sort of the story here with Shuttle to Kenfori as we sort of come into the back half of this episode. I kind of like the M'Benga Pike dynamic here. It almost feels a little buddy cop, like a typical buddy cop show or movie. Even when they're in the critical parts, when M'Benga is telling that story about how he essentially just murdered chakra.
Yeah.
And Pike really does the only thing he can. He just sort of lets his friend, bare his soul and essentially admit to everything that everyone has pretty much suspected he did since that episode.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not hard to believe that he killed the guy. I mean, and I think I looked at it's Dakra. It is Dakra. Yeah,
Dakra.
that's
I was wrong. I apologize.
Dakra. No, that's okay. I like the Chaka from Land of Lost. I liked when you did that earlier, so we'll go with that. But yes,
If I didn't do that, it was going to be Chongo, which is a deep cut for some people, and I'm sure Helen will remember that one especially.
Very nice. I like the buddy aspect of it. It kind of gives you a backstory of characters that we've never had a backstory on before. We definitely have never had any kind of backstory whatsoever about Mabenga until recently. I mean, we got a little bit with that first episode with Baklava, whatever her name is. I don't remember his name, but and of course the whole thing with the super drug that he and Chapel took to fight the Klingons, stuff like you like that one, did you?
That was good. That was good.
So it's good to see that, but it's interesting because I'm trying to put in my mind now, and you're gonna have to let me know if I'm right or not. Piper was the chief physician before Mabenga, correct? Because Piper was the doctor with the cage, which took place before what we're seeing now.
Right.
It's interesting that these two seem to have a much deeper and more appreciated friendship than what we saw in the cage, even though Piper's the one that comes into his quarters and makes a martini for him when he's depressed. So I think that's an interesting aspect of what they're doing with this character development.
That's an ugly ass martini too. Can we just hop to that right now? He doesn't shake a damn thing. He barely pours it in a glass and maybe gives it a wave. He barely introduces the vermouth to the gin.
Yeah.
And I think just hopes that magic will happen once they get it in the pot,
Who wants a warm martini?
Yeah, right? Yeah, let's just drink this warm rot gut, Chris, while you watch your 20th century TV. We don't know that they didn't have a close relationship, but it's obvious to me that Mabenga and Pike have been through some crap together. That predates, his relationship with Piper, most likely.
Yeah. And I like how they're able to talk about it in a serious and not serious manner at the same time when they're coming down in the shuttle. I thought that was good. It was good character moments, like you said, is a very important part of any Star Trek episode. So I thought that was really cool. I also liked we'll get into the whole Gorn aspect of what's going on in sickbay in a second, but I did like the mind meld and the after effect of what the mind meld did to Spock with that that new guy who's a nurse on the in sickbay. He got flown across the room, yo. It was pretty awesome.
And I love Spock's sort of nonchalant apology on the way out of sickbay, like, "Sorry, Ensign." I mean, that's typical Spock, but
it is. Yeah, it really is.
It was a great moment. I really appreciated the way Ethan played that, because it's rare to see Spock affected like that in a mind meld. Obviously, we see it in The Devil in the Dark.
Yeah,
where it really touches him that much. We see it in The Undiscovered Country when he's sort of mind melding with Valeris against her will. I don't want to call it mind rape, but I don't know what else to call it. But we definitely see it here. Whatever this thing is that's inside Marie, I don't know how she's keeping it together. I don't know how, I mean, because she's not Vulcan, right? She's just human as far as we know. I don't know how she's able to keep this at bay, even with medical help.
I'll tell you what, even the physical aspect of what she's dealing with, I winced. I literally went like this when she screamed. She was, she was saying how she was uncomfortable and it hurt. And then she screamed that one time. That was like, oh man. So you're right. What she's dealing with is not good. And I guess we can get into it now because we're talking about it. We're talking about these guys right here. I got a theory and I think it's out there now. I have not looked at a lot of social media, but we've talked. My brother has a huge problem with what's going on in Strange New Worlds at this time with the Gorn, and not only why does nobody seem to remember the Gorn, meaning Kirk, but we've gone over that before, and why Kirk wouldn't. the whole idea of the way the Gorn look, the very lizardy salamander dinosaurs with spacesuits look that they have to them is very different than what we love and what we all remember Bobby Clark. It was really great to see him in Vegas again, by the way. The Gorn that we all love, you can see him behind me there. I have a feeling that Marie's going to become what we are used to seeing. I'll just put it right out there. I think whatever this Gorn human hybrid that they're talking about that she is going to transform into is what is going to be, maybe not her specifically, but it's what is going to become the Gorn that we know 15 years down the road in TOS time. I don't know how less than that. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it seems to me that they're throwing out these little hints about there's going to be a new type of Gorn, and the people in the writer's room and the showrunners know that people are bitching about what we know as the Gorn and what we're seeing right now. And I think that's how they're going to be able to retcon it in a way that works for me. I don't know how about you, but I think it'll work.
I don't think it needs to be retconned, and I'm gonna die on this hill. Kirk never says he's never seen a Gorn.
Yep.
He never does. That's not in the dialogue. People think he's never seen.
But he may never have, because he's not
right.
on board the Enterprise right now.
Right.
So, yeah.
But I mean, there's Starfleet reports, there's whatever. He's told it's a creature called a Gorn, but as of right now, he hasn't seen his enemy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that line can very easily be interpreted this way. These people who have a problem with it being the Gorn just need to lighten up. Oh my God.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that aspect of it, because he never really ever says it in that way. The whole thing for me, because the Gorn from the 60s is so iconic.
Yeah.
It's so recognized. It's so loved. The rubber suit, and I saw behind the scenes photos just this week that there were giant holes in like the crotch and the back and everything, so that the person got some air, and because it was very hot in there, Bobby was suffering in there. But I want to know why the Gorn that we have seen for the first 2 plus seasons of Strange New Worlds look so different. They look like Alien, the movie Aliens. So it's kind of weird that the one that we're used to seeing has nothing to do whatsoever with what we've seen so far. And I think that doing what they're doing now is a good way to kind of cover that.
Well, and I think that's kind of the genesis of the whole Chimera Blossom, right?
Yeah.
I think that it's going to bring a fundamental change to the evolution of the Gorn that they're not ready for. They're going to get conquered in a completely different way and sort of become this hybrid creature. I agree with you in that sense. We don't know that the Gorn in Arena isn't Batel.
No, we don't. Not at all. She's had some vocal cord work done, if it is.
Well, if she's going to mutate, she's going to mutate, right?
Right. I mean, who knows? It could be. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something that nobody would ever have expected?
So. And I think that would be really kind of cool.
Yeah.
There are going to be plenty of people who disagree with me, and that's completely fine. If we're creating bridges to canon, I think that has to be on the table.
Yeah.
That's just me. I want to talk about Ortegas because we've got about 15 minutes left, and we really can't touch on this episode without talking about the fact that she is not in a good place and commits willful insubordination.
Yep.
While
very dangerous. I mean,
dangerous.
It's a little insubordination is one thing. What she does could have had major ramifications down the road, and still could, for all we know. But that was a dick move she did. She's not in a good place. We talked about it last time. We talked about a Strange New Worlds episode, the very last scene where she was in training and she was imagining a Gorn standing behind. She's not doing good. She's not good in her head. But there you go.
Ross saying she'll be the one that Kirk ends up facing. Helen wants to see Batel in a rubber suit. I kind of do too.
I love it. That's great.
Willow says, or maybe it's one of her spawn. That would be very interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Spawn. No, that's okay. But she's not in a good place, and she kind of reminds me of what she was like in the season 1 finale when she was playing the insubordinate helmsman or navigator from Balance of Terror. It all ties together, but it kind of reminded me of that kind of different universe Ortegas. But Yeah, it's very concerning, and I really didn't think she was taking what Una had to say very seriously when she was being dressed down.
I I'm torn because I think that this puts Ortegas in a perilous place. I'm worried for the fate of the character. Maybe not this season, but
Mhm.
possibly next season, because I think that this sort of PTSD of sorts from being, you know, on the planet during the Gorn invasion and then being, taken prisoner by the Gorn and put in that, I don't know, for want of a better word, food sack.
Yep.
Um, it's going to leave a mark. I like the fact that there are repercussions. I like the fact that she's experiencing something after the fact and not just like Picard after the Borg going, all right, I'm captain of the Enterprise again.
Right.
Let's go find data or
Yep.
whatever. Um, I really appreciate the fact that there are long lasting effects to this and that it's affecting her. I worry though that this may be the beginning of a bad course for Ortegas.
Well, it's funny. I think of Sons of Anarchy when I think about Ortegas right now, because anybody who's seen Sons of Anarchy, Sons of Ortegas, Sons of Anarchy,
Sons of
um,
Ortegas, I
no,
love it.
no spoilers, but there's a character who, like, all of a sudden just has it. He doesn't care about anything, so he puts himself in harm's way all the time and doesn't care, and that's Juice. Of
Yeah.
course, you've seen it,
Yeah.
so I have a feeling that that's what Ortegas is going to start doing, which goes to your point of down this path that's going to be a bad path. And I agree with you. I think she is going to be killed before the end of the series, because we don't ever hear about this phenomenal officer ever again. And it's too bad. I mean, it's a great character, fantastic actor, but she's dealing with some things, and I don't know if she's going to be able to overcome them. And I kind of felt that way even more after the Ready Room discussion that she had with number one.
Yeah, and what the hell was up with Una's wig in this episode? I thought that was the real travesty of this episode, quite frankly. I don't know what the hell that was. It did not look right on Rebecca's head.
Yeah.
Um, Garcia's in our ear. It says she looked like Friar Tuck.
Friar Tuck.
And he's not wrong.
I am not a merry man.
No, and neither is number one in this case, because
Mhm.
she's not Mary and she's not a man. I just want to throw that out there. The thing that really struck me about that whole Ready Room scene with Una and Ortegas was when Ortegas leaves the Ready Room, she exits back onto the bridge and then has a physical reaction to her conversation with Una just then.
Mhm.
I don't think that this conflict between the two of them is remotely over. I think that there's going to be another, I don't want to say a round, but another incident that has higher stakes with the two of them.
I completely agree with you, and it's too bad, because that Una's doing what she has to do because she cares about Ortegas. They're friends, and I think with all of this trauma that Ortegas has gone through, she's not going to see it that way. You're out to get me. You don't care. You don't understand, that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I will say, I did love seeing Una in command of the ship in this episode, and the way that she was commanding, especially in the Ready Room when she had to talk to Ortegas the way she did. I really thought Rebecca did a great job with that aspect of the show.
She's fulfilling the job of first officer amazingly well, executing the captain's vision, keeping the crew in line, and making sure that they are doing what they need to do to be at their best when the captain needs them.
Yeah.
I thought that scene or that series of scenes in particular were written exceptionally. Even just the look on Una's face when she's sitting in the command chair and you see her over the shoulder of Ortegas after she knows what Ortegas did.
Yeah.
It says everything about their next interaction. It's just so amazingly well done. But yeah, I am really worried. I mean, I adore Melissa Navia.
Yeah,
I think she's such a wonderful, steward of everything that is Star Trek. When she was cast in the show, I was incredibly excited. She was incredibly excited. But I really hope that there's a turnaround for Ortegas. Maybe this is what prompts more counselors on ships in canon. Maybe this is something else,
Yep.
But she clearly has to get over some of this in order to get Ortegas back.
I agree. Willow pointed out that maybe what's going on with her right now, she gets assigned to a different ship and that she doesn't have to die. And Willow, yeah, absolutely. But that doesn't make for sweepstakes ratings week television, even though there's no sweeps week anymore. So something bad's I have a feeling that something's bad. She's not just gonna be shipped off to another ship. I don't think
It's streaming. Something's going to happen to make
I
way
would
for
love
Sulu.
it. Something big's gonna happen. Yeah. So
Especially to make way for Sulu.
and I don't think it's gonna be anything, just she got phaser by now. I think it's going to be like a ridiculously important sacrifice. I think it'll be something that is really going to mean something. But I unfortunately have a very strong feeling that she is not going to make it through the series.
Concur. I want to go back to something Kaylia said.
Yeah.
A more human born.
Hi, Kaylia.
I called her out earlier, by the way. Were you asleep?
I must have been drinking my drink or something. Sorry.
You must have just been not paying attention as you usually do. Dummy. Kaylia says a more human Gorn will also help keep the original episode message of Arena in this case. The Gorn Kirk fought wasn't a brutal killer. The Gorn was a foil for Kirk. He thought he was defending his people from a threat. Absolutely true. And I think that's the piece that a lot of I can't believe what they did to the Gorn people, have brought out.
Right. Right.
Helen says there was speculation that Una's hair was so they didn't have to deal with long flowing hair when they were weightless on the bridge. That's a great call out because I didn't think about that. But they follow that up with that hair was a crime.
Nicely done, Helen. I like it. That was cool too.
They could have given her a Janeway bun of steel, which I completely agree with.
I haven't invented it yet. It's like transparent aluminum.
This sort of wraparound braid almost looked like Karzia said, like Friar Tuck.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Helen loves seeing Una in command, and so
there
did
you go.
we. So
yep,
did we.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I need more of it. Kind of like Scotty in command during TOS, which I always love.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? We're talking about all these things in the episode that were really great, and I know we're running up on time. You know what was my most disappointing part of this episode?
Your face?
But no, that would have been disappointing to everybody if it had actually
been.
Don't I
know
there.
it?
Yes, but I think the whole Bitha, the female Klingon who was the daughter of Baklava, I thought that was
Balaclava.
I thought that was the weakest part of the episode. The whole story about what had happened and how she was chasing him down for honor and all that stuff. I thought that was the weakest part of the story, which is unfortunate because it really had some potential. And it was all this buildup, and then boom, it just is over because she sacrifices herself to go to Sto-vo-kor and all this, that, and the other thing. But I thought that was a part of the episode that I bet you some people thought that should have been the biggest part of the episode. And to me, it was the one that had the lowest part of it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, it was enough to give them a reason to have problems getting off the zombie planet.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. It could have been another episode entirely.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been more effective in another episode entirely, quite frankly.
I have a feeling we have not heard the last of this whole Bakra Klingon thing with M'Benga before the end of the series.
No, I don't think so. And I'm wondering if word does get back to Starfleet Command. I'm wondering if M'Benga is removed as chief medical officer of the Enterprise and is replaced by somebody until Bones comes on board.
Right.
Or maybe Bones comes on board early. I don't know. But I get they're kind of trying to transition us to TOS by the end of Strange New Worlds. I don't know that I like it because I want Strange New Worlds to stand on its own.
Well, isn't that what everybody's been saying since the beginning? Everybody's been saying Strange New Worlds should not. Some people I've seen online are pissed that they brought anybody from TOS into this besides Spock. We all know that Spock was with Pike before, so that makes sense. But bringing in Scotty and, they're going to eventually bring in other people. People are really upset about, and Kirk, of course. People are very upset about that because they want Strange New Worlds to be its own show.
Yeah.
And it is. But I do see what you're saying as they get closer to the end. We all know, we've all been told recently how the series is going to end. It seems to me that they're going to turn season 4.5 and 5 into TOS 1A or 0.5 or whatever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
There's already talk that, what's his name? Akiva Goldsman and Henry Alonzo Myers kind of already have a plan.
Year one. Yeah.
Yeah, year one. Okay. It also means we get Gary Mitchell. All right, fine, or possibly get Gary Mitchell. They've got to add some of that. But this show isn't over.
No, it's not. It's not
It's
at all.
it's
Not in the slightest.
I mean, uh, any captain's going to want to bring in his own officers. None of this necessarily had to happen. As soon as we started adding other characters from the TOS realm, like, and this is not a criticism by any means, like Uhura and Chapel and some others, Sam Kirk.
Yeah.
I think that this kind of had to happen.
Yeah.
I just wish it had happened much later,
Yes, absolutely.
like
I mean,
maybe
it, I
starting
mean,
next season.
hmm Yep. And like I said, I talked about Spock, and of course, and I will say I'm glad that they brought in Uhura right away, right at the
Yeah,
very beginning. I thought that has all worked out good, and I don't think the spacing of what they've done, like so far with Scotty, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think, and Roger Corby has now been introduced. I think they're placing them correctly, but are they placing too many? So I don't know if I
I
don't
think
know if
so.
that's making sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it makes sense. I mean, I do think they're placing them correctly. I do think that they're in context. I think they're in character for what was originally brought to the screen with
hmm
some of these, but they're adding depth to these characters that they never had before. Some of them as
Right.
one-offs or as rarely used characters. Like how much depth now do we have to Chapel? And I think that maybe we saw her 26 times over the course of TOS, and that's just a
Yeah.
guess.
We've been depth
Um,
to death.
yeah, but I mean, we have great knowledge of Chapel now. She's
Yes.
so much more 3D than she was in TOS,
Mhm.
largely because of the time it was. In the 60s, they just didn't, give that much character depth to background players,
Right.
right?
Right.
Even though it was Majel.
I don't say that in a negative way. We've got a lot. We've had it seems to me there's been a lot more focus on Christine as a character than any other character, including Pike
I said
in
like Pike.
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mean that that's not a criticism per se. But yeah, we know a lot about Christine that we didn't know before.
Oh no, I'm going to say it's a criticism, because Pike's the captain.
Mm.
Granted, he's not the star of the show. This is an ensemble thing, even though his name is first in the credits. I'm just saying. Um, but there are so many unanswered questions with Pike alone. I mean, we're adding depth to this character that he never
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
because Pike was never seen until like what 1986, 1988.
Yeah.
I mean, in the cage, that is. I mean, we saw him in the menagerie, but we never saw the cage until the 80s.
Right.
So all this depth we're getting with Pike is new ground. So I could use a little more of Starfleet Pike and not boyfriend Pike.
Criticism is the wrong word. We know a lot about her that we should be knowing a lot more about other people.
Yeah.
You could tell me anything you want to know about Christine. I've always thought Chapel was a great character, and I always wanted to know more about her. But there's other characters that have probably a lot more backstory to tell.
Yeah, I'd even be fine with a little more backstory from Uhura, quite frankly. We got some
We
in
got a little bit
what,
about her
episode 2,
parents.
the
Yeah.
Children of the Comet, but
Yeah.
and even in We Are Starfleet, we get some too. But which is coming up in our coverage, but we was on last week, and it's a timey-wimey thing. Don't mind us. So Helen just brought up a great comment that I want
Wow, that's pretty
to talk
awesome,
about.
actually.
Helen saw the cage in the 70s. Her dad took her brother and her to a small con. Roddenberry stood the blooper reels and a black and white print of the cage. I got to see Roddenberry in Laconia, New Hampshire in 1985. And 83. I'm sorry, 1983, before Search for Spock. And he didn't show the cage during that time. I wish he had, but I did get to see the infamous blooper reels at Laconia High School in Laconia,
Nice.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So, Dan, closing thoughts on Shuttle to Kenfori.
Enjoyable. It's got everything. It's got some humor. It's got a lot of horror, which is something that we don't usually see in Star Trek, unless Cat's Paw is on, which is a joke, of course.
That's just horrific.
But yeah, it's good. It's got a lot of it's got some backstory. It's got some relationship building. It's got some character building. It's got everything, and it's enjoyable. So yeah, if we're doing see it or skip it, I'm giving this one a thumbs up.
Yeah, I kind of am too. I think we're 3 for 3 right now in Strange New World season 3. I didn't do that intentionally, but here it is. I like where the season is going. Next week, of course, we're going to talk about episode 4, which is a space adventure hour, which I think we had mixed feelings on at first watch.
Yeah.
And I'm going to watch it again, kind of like I did with Kenfori, to see if that
Mhm.
has changed in the last month.
Sounds good.
To see if kind of I have a different reaction on second watch than I did on first one.
All I know is one of the best cosplays of STLV was because of this episode.
Yes. And it was happened the week that it aired.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty freaking incredible when you think about it.
That was amazing. I loved it. There were 2 cosplayers in Vegas who were, the Anson Mount and the Christina Chong characters in Space Adventure Hour. And it was everything. He had everything from the outfit down to the sort of pot belly, and Frakes has said that it's essentially a caricature of Gene Roddenberry, and I hear it and see it now, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
But that's next week, a Space Adventure Hour, of course. Remember, you can like and subscribe us on all of these platforms, whether it's the Instagrams or the Book of Faces, or even here on the U of Tubes. Of course, if you don't get to watch us live, you can watch us anytime on demand after the fact. And of course, the audio from this episode will be released on the Trek Geeks podcast within the next couple of weeks. But that's going to do it for this week, Dan. We'll be back next Thursday. For all of you in the U.S., we hope you have a great Labor Day holiday weekend if you happen to have the extra day off. And if you're not, we hope you have a great Monday. But until next week, I'm Bill Smith. He's not. We hope you all live long and prosper. Have a great week,
everybody. Take care.